Let's pause for a minute to talk about Anchor by Spotify. Anchor is an easy to use, one stop shop to create and host your podcast. When we started making Sleeping with the Numbers, we used other hosts first that forced us to manually upload to Apple Music, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. But with Anchor, you simply upload to a single spot and it distributes it automatically to all of these locations. But that isn't all. With Anchor, you can easily record, edit, and even add music directly from Spotify to your podcast to make it sound even better. So if you've been waiting around to create a podcast, wait no longer, because Anchor by Spotify makes it extremely easy to do. Anchor is completely free and can be used by downloading the mobile app on iOS or Android, or even right from their website, anchor.fm. Make an account today and get podcasting.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
All right, hey everyone, welcome
Wait.
into Ooh,
Sorry. My cat was making noise right by the mic. Just give me 10 seconds.
gotcha.
Now you can go.
Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of the Sleeping with the Numbers podcast. Dylan and Pat here. We're going to be speed running this episode like crazy, man. So Pat, let's jump right into it. We want to get this episode out before Thursday Night Football. It is 6:05 right now. The game starts at 7:25. Tennessee versus Green Bay. Tennessee 6-3, Green Bay 4-6. I'm honestly surprised Green Bay is favored, but Tennessee's been getting a little shafted on these lines, which isn't horrible for a better, but it's still confusing to me. So Green Bay 3.5-point home favorites, minus 175 on the money line, and a very low over/under of just 41. So again, Pat. I'm going to keep following the trend I've been following. Anytime that over/under is near or around 40, I'm going to take that over. So I'm taking the over here. And Pat, just to go through it, I think Derrick Henry's just going to run through the Packers defense. I agree the Packers defense is good, but Derrick Henry is going to get 30 touches like he always does. And they can do nothing about it. They're going to wear down that defense. And then on the Packers side, Christian Watson finally decided to show up, but do we trust that lasts is the real question. And I'm not super confident that it does. So I'm going to take the underdogs in both situations here to win and cover.
I'm going to take the over as well, but I think Green Bay is going to win and cover. And my main logic is that Aaron Rodgers can do no wrong right now. He's feeling it. And the Titans are missing multiple starters, including our very own American folklore hero, Bud Dupree. So I feel like this is a sign that the Packers should continue to move forward.
All right, pushing this forward, Pat, a matchup that is close to home, but not exactly home. The Cleveland Browns taking on Buffalo. Cleveland 3-6, Buffalo 6-3. Buffalo on a little bit of a slide here, losing 2 straight, one against the Jets and one against the Vikings. Both of those only by a field goal. So it's quite obvious that Allen's arm is hindering him. But you're not going to sit Josh Allen if you're playing him in fantasy football. And if he's playing, you know Buffalo has a great chance on the line here, which is why they are 7.5-point home favorites. Why is it not loading the rest of the information?
Okay. The over that I took was 47, and Buffalo was minus 437 when I took them the other day.
Okay. That sounds good to me. I think this is up in the air because I'm going to assume weather. So they're expecting some heavy snowstorms there, 3 to 6 feet of snow in Buffalo. There's talks about moving this game. Actually, I don't know if Pro Football Focus is ahead of the curve here. No, they're not. Even Action Network has it. This game has been moved to Ford Field in Detroit. So indoor field this time around. Buffalo still 7.5-point. I guess you still call them home favorites. And over/under of 49.5 points, minus 350 on the money line. So that has come down a little bit, Pat. And plus 320 on the other side for Cleveland. Action Network is also pointing to me on PointsBet. If you're able to bet on PointsBet, the over/under is set at 42. Go take that over right now if you are able to do so. Because I'll tell you, that probably is not lasting. That said, I even with an injured Josh Allen, I'm taking Buffalo to win and cover. If the over-under is at 42, I'm taking the over. But at 49.5, I'm not too convinced. I will take the under 49.5 there. Buffalo's defense has been solid. Not so much recently, but it's also the Browns. And, I mean, the Browns are going to Brown, so.
Yeah, I love when you said Browns are gonna Brown. What I was thinking exactly. I'm gonna take the Bills to win and cover. I'm gonna take the over.
Okay.
Now, when I had it was 47. I'll take 49.5. Why not? Because to me, this is like, imagine we grew up in Pennsylvania where you always have to drive in the snow, and then you move somewhere like Texas, and like when it snows, it's like an inch of snow. You're like, wow, this is so much easier to move. Josh Allen's gonna score 60 fantasy points.
Yes.
It's a home game indoors. It's about to happen. And Cleveland sucks. So I'll take the over regardless.
Cleveland does suck. That's the key headline here. Cleveland sucks. Alrighty here. Moving on to a next matchup. Pat, I think this matchup might be kind of the highest scoring one on the week. We have the Chicago
Commanders Texans.
That might be the lowest scoring of the week.
Oh, sorry.
But Chicago Bears, who it's not showing up so much in the record column, or the win column, I should say. But Justin Fields is actually playing some good football, mostly on the fantasy side. Still not great on the real football side of things. But they're taking on Atlanta. Again, this surprises me a little bit, but I said this before about Atlanta, and then they end up winning. Atlanta is 3-point home favorites, minus 164 on the money line, plus 137 for the Bears. Pretty high over-under of 49.5 points, and I think that's because both defenses are terrible. Chicago currently ranked dead last for their defense. Atlanta Falcons, 27th best out of 32. So not great on either side of the ball here. Injuries, the Bears do lose Khalil Herbert, so it should be the David Montgomery show here, and you can run on Atlanta pretty well. The Atlanta Falcons, they want to run the ball even when they're down 20 points. That's just their thing. Maybe Cordero Patterson comes back to life. I played him last week, and he got me 2.5 points, so he's riding my bench this week. Pat, who are you taking in this matchup?
I'm going to take the Bears to win and obviously cover, since I took them +3. And I'm going to take the under. I just can't trust the Falcons right now when they're averaging like 5 passing attempts per game. But I do agree that Cordero Patterson's kind of an anomaly because he came back, he had a great game. Last game he didn't do anything. I don't really know what they're going to do. It's a different offense where he's not the focal point right now. There's not really a focal point.
Yeah.
When they're trying out Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley too. So maybe that will change over the next few weeks when he gets more acclimated to coming back to football, but I'll take the Bears.
I'm going to ride with you on all of those, Pat. I know I was kind of hyping up how this could be a highest scoring matchup, and I think that's going to be true for fantasy points, but you've been on the money here for picking these over-under, so I'm going to follow you completely. Bears the win, cover, and the under. Well, the big losers, the Philadelphia Eagles, 8-1 after a disgusting, terrible loss to the Washington Commanders and their Hall of Fame-bound quarterback Taylor Heineke, taking down the Eagles. What bums. So they're going to go take on the Colts, who are 4-5-1 because they decided to tie Houston at the beginning of the season. The Eagles are 6.5-point away favorites, minus 305 on the money line, plus 245 for the Colts. Over under of 45.5 points. Matt Ryan's back playing as a starter here once they got the coaching change. Saturday is undefeated as a head coach. I don't know how much faith I have in the Colts here. They're an interesting team. They got rid of Hines. It's the Jonathan Taylor show, and they have shown that last week you give him all of that work, and it's going to pay dividends. So I think the Colts have a chance here to, kill a wounded bird? Maybe that's too much of a pun. But I'll take the Colts to cover. I still think the Eagles come out with a win. Over under, let me check some things here on the injury front. Over under, 45 and a half. I feel like they should be able to hit the over. Looking at the points here, Eagles 21, 29, 35 in their last three. Colts, 25, 3, 60. I'll take the under, 45 and a half points.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under as well, and I'm gonna take the Colts to cover, but the Eagles to win. I feel like, as of right now, I'm not as confident in the Eagles as I would have been. I don't think that the Colts are that great. It's good to see Jonathan Taylor get his act together, but I just feel like it's gonna be a low scoring. I wouldn't say boring game, but the Eagles have not been as exciting as I think that they were built at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, they were winning a lot. Obviously, they only have one loss, but a lot of their games weren't super exciting in this recent stretch. Divisional matchup, and one that has a lot of playoff implications here for the AFC East. The New York Jets at 6-3 are traveling to Foxborough to take on the 5-4 New England Patriots, and I think they get it done here. And I will check this while you're talking, but I'm pretty sure that this all but locks them in to playoffs. It might be a little early, but it's definitely going to be a big step forward. I'm taking the Jets here to win. Patriots are 3.5-point home favorites, minus 171 on the money line, plus 143 for the Jets. An over under. I think this should just be called an under because it is just at 38 points. I will take that over pretty easily.
And this is where I'm going to bet against you. I'm going to take the under because I'm feeling crazy. I'm going to take the Jets to win and obviously cover, though. I feel like that the Jets are in a position where Zach Wilson can be as bad as he needs to be, and they're still fine, which is awesome because that's sort of what the Patriots were last year with Mac Jones.
And so looking at this, it has a rating of 55 out of 100 here on playoffstatus.com, which means it is a highly important game for the AFC playoff picture. Looking at the odds here, so the Jets are currently sitting at 74% chance at playoffs. If they win this game, they are at 87% chance at playoffs. On the flip side of that, if the Patriots were to win this game, they're currently sitting at, only a 41% chance at playoffs at the moment. If they win, it goes to 52%. If they lose, just 28% chance at playoffs. So very important game here for both sides. This is likely going to be a snooze fest. A lot of really low over-unders here this week. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 6 games under 42 points on the Vegas line. The 3-6 Los Angeles Rams without Cooper Kupp are going to New Orleans to take on the 3-7 Saints, who are still dedicated to starting Andy Dalton for some terrible reason. Apparently, Jameis is quote unquote not going to be healthy the rest of the season, but he's able to still be a backup and practice in full. So that doesn't make sense to me, but I don't want to bet on this game at all other than the over-under, which is at 39 points. Saints -3, home favorites -174 on the money line, plus 146 for the Rams. I'm not betting this game on the spread or the money line. This is more than a toss-up. Just because of history, I'm going to go with the Rams to win and cover. I'm taking a lot of underdogs this time around. It doesn't feel great. But it's going to come down to coaching, and I think McVay is a better coach than I don't even know his name. So that should tell you something.
I'm going to take the Saints to obviously win and cover, and I'll take the under. I feel like this game's going to be bad, but I feel like with the loss of Cooper Kupp, the Rams suck.
Yeah.
I mean, the Saints suck too, but I feel like they suck less. That's really my only logic. I thought that they gave the Steelers a good run for their money, even though the Steelers are bad, but in all honesty, I just feel like I can't see what the Rams are going to do offensively.
Yeah, and that is massively my worry as well, which is why I'm not putting any real money on this game. Sidebar here. Pat, are you taking a shot trying to get Cooper Kupp in our keeper league?
Absolutely not.
All right.
Well,
Just
because
cause,
here's my
'cause
thing.
why? Yeah.
It's tough, like when these big receivers take a massive injury like that. I'm not excited about the Rams moving forward. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm being honest, I have Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and AJ Brown as my other receivers. Which, let's be completely honest with people, we have a very small keeper league,
Yeah.
so that's
Eight
not
team
really
league.
realistic. Yeah, all three of those guys, even though the Raiders suck, I feel more confident that Devontae Adams is going to be better off than Cooper Kupp will be, just with the way that things have gone with Los Angeles lately. I feel like that team crumbled very quickly.
Yeah, I got an offer for Cup, and it was pretty cheap, but I don't have a first round pick to keep him, nor do I know if I would keep him. And that's the only way you make that move is if you're planning on keeping him for the next season. And I'm really worried about this going kind of the way of Michael Thomas, where he just sits out forever with an ankle injury and never becomes himself again. I think Cup is way better than Michael Thomas, which might be a hot take. But Michael Thomas, I don't know. I I don't know the guy. He kind of comes off as a douchebag and like didn't want to play at all last year and sat out way longer than needed to. So maybe that's why the quote unquote ankle injury lasted so long for him. But still, those thoughts are in my mind. Cup isn't, he's older than what people think. I believe he turns 30 here pretty soon, and that's usually that hump. Now, wide receivers last a bit longer than running backs, and maybe he has a few more good years, but I'm not excited for the Rams either, Pat. They blew their load getting all these guys to go win a Super Bowl. They did it. Now they're kind of paying the price. 3-6 Detroit Lions going to take on the 7-2 New York Giants. The Giants are a lot of threes all around here. -3 home favorites, -165 on the money line, +137 for the Lions, and an over/under of 45 points. Lions defense is really bad. New York's offense, they got Saquon Barkley. No other player matters here. He can put up 2+ touchdowns himself in this matchup. It could be back and forth. I'm not so convinced it will be. However, there are fantasy pieces I want in this game. The over/under is sitting at 45 points, and I am going to take the under here, where neither defense is great. There's just not going to be enough scoring to go around in this game, other than Barkley's 2 touchdowns, which he's guaranteed. So I'm taking New York to win and cover, and the under 45 points.
I'll go with New York as well, both to win and cover, but I'm going to take the over, and mainly because I would like to see the Lions start getting back to the we're trying to catch up and do a bunch of garbage time plays thing, because I have DeAndre Swift, and I really need him to get his act together. So it's more of a selfish bet. I'm not really thinking logically. It's more of I hope that it goes back to that point.
Yeah, completely fair. That's it's a hard thing to do. I was talking to someone in Florida. I was sitting next to them on a plane, and I was talking about what were we talking about? We were talking about football, and he lives in Virginia. That's what it was, and he overheard me talking about the Steelers and how we're having a rough season. And he said, "Yeah, I know how you feel. I've had a lot of rough seasons." And I'm like, "Who's your team there in Virginia?" And I guess Washington. He said, "Yeah, Washington." I'm like, "Yeah, that's not fun at all." But it's tough. I told him, I'm like, it's tough. One, being a Steelers fan and not like having a bias when we pick their games. And then it's tough being a fantasy fan and also not being biased when you want your players to do well. So these are the hardships we go through as podcasters. We have very hard lives. Baker Mayfield is back, Pat. He's coming home to play a known foe, the Baltimore Ravens. I'm pretty sure this is the biggest spread on the week. I can't imagine another one being larger. Yes, Ravens -13 home favorites, -729 on the money line. That I feel like that's the highest we've read off this year. +514 for the Panthers. However, a super low over-under, and this is all thanks to Baker playing, at 41.5 points. So, oof. Give me the Ravens, obviously, to win. I will take the over 41.5. That 13's so rough. I think the Ravens can pull away, but I don't think they're going to need to. And with a low over-under prediction, a large spread like that is more likely to hit. So I think I have to take the Panthers to cover, but I threw up in my mouth a little bit when I said it.
Yeah, I have the exact same thing. Carolina to cover, Ravens to win, and the over. I'm kind of with you. I feel like it's exciting that Baker's back, but I don't think anybody really cares. And plus 13 or whatever, that's just too much.
Washington taking on Houston. Washington coming in after beating the flying high Philadelphia Eagles. They are -3 away favorites, -166 on the money line, +139 for the Texans. Over under, again, super low, 40.5 points here. I don't feel good taking all these overs. It never works out that way, but I'm taking the over here again. When was the last time Houston won?
I don't know.
October 9th. They beat the Jaguars 13-6. That was their only win. They went undefeated in preseason, so they have that. So good for them. Boy, I don't think they're getting the win here either. I think the running backs, Gibson and Robinson, are going to have a great game because everybody can run. On Houston, they are the worst ranked defense against the running back. So I'm taking Washington outright, winning cover. And like I said, the over.
I'm going to follow you on that one.
Let's do it. And this is one I do feel confident in, so I likely will actually bet on that one. What I won't bet on is this AFC West matchup, the 2-7 Raiders taking on the 3-6 Broncos. I have absolutely zero faith in either one of these teams. Somehow the Broncos are 2.5-point home favorites, -146 on the money line, +123 on the money line for the Raiders. Over under of just 41.5 points. Jerry Jeudy is going to be out this game, it sounds like. I don't know why he's not marked as out, but I'm almost certain he is. Devontae Adams, currently questionable with a torso injury. He'll be fine. He'll play. And then, of course, Waller is still out, so Foster Moreau is going to be taking that spot. The Broncos' defense is really good, but their offense is really bad. So it kind of counteracts here, and because of that, they're not winning these games. They have lost, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their last 6 they have lost. Raiders are on a 3-game losing streak here. These teams are bad. I'm just going to go with the defense here with the Broncos. Just to hedge my bet, I'll take the Raiders to win. So Broncos to win, Raiders to cover, just because I have no idea what's going to happen. And I'll go over 41.5 points.
I'm going to do Raiders to win and cover, and I'm going to do the under. I feel like the Broncos are finally going to collapse, and I feel like the Raiders are going to finally not be as awful.
I hope you're right. I really do, because I like watching Russ fail. Maybe that's evil, but I do. 6-3 Dallas Cowboys coming to take on the 8-1 Vikings. That's exciting to say. Again, it does not feel like they're 8-1, but they are. However, doesn't matter. Cowboys still favored here away by 1.5, -123 on the money line, +104 for the Vikings. Over under of 47.5 points. This can actually be a shootout between these two offenses. I think Dallas has the better defense. I feel like that's true. Minnesota's defense hasn't been terrible either, but it feels like they're just kind of scraping by every time they get a win. And we talked about in the last episode, they really haven't taken on a ton of tough opponents here, and the Cowboys might be their toughest opponent. So I can see this one going either way. I will take the over 47.5 points. This one can keep going back and forth. Jefferson getting touchdowns, Dalvin getting touchdowns. not Zeke getting touchdowns, so maybe Pollard. And then Lamb has looked really good, especially since Dak is back. Boy. But I have to make a choice here. I think the Vikings are going to run into a very tough defense. Not to say that that means they can't score. They just won't be able to score at will. And because of that, I'll take the Cowboys to both win and cover.
I'm gonna take the Vikings to win, cover, and I'm gonna take the over as well. I agree with the shootout mentality. I just think that overall as a team, the Vikings have shown that they're a little bit more consistent with the Cowboys. I haven't really seen that. I'm still concerned that, with an unhealthy Zeke, in the sense of, is he actually playing? Do we know?
He is questionable.
Okay. So regardless if he plays or not, to me, there's still just too many question marks with Dallas. I think that Minnesota has a much better depth in general. So I'm going to take Minnesota.
Is it wrong to say that Dallas is better without Zeke?
I think we all know it, but nobody wants to say it.
Especially Jerry Jones. He doesn't want to hear it. Luckily, he probably has his hearing aids off or something, so he can't hear it. Home matchup for us here, Pat. The Cincinnati Bengals 5-4 going to Pittsburgh to take on the 3-6 Steelers. Steelers got a good win against the Saints. So good for them. Bengals are going to be 3.5-point away favorites, minus 198 on the money line, plus 164 for the Steelers. Over under of just 41 points. TJ Watt is back, which means the defense is way better. I don't believe this power ranking at all by Pro Football Focus calling the Bengals the number one ranked offense. That makes absolutely no sense to me. When you look at offenses like Buffalo, you look at offenses like Minnesota, Miami even. It's that I don't buy that at all. So give me my money back. However, this is the type of matchup that the Steelers win. We've been doing it for years, over decades now at this point with Mike Tomlin. It is an important matchup, home field, division rivals. This is exactly the type of matchup that the Steelers thrive in. I don't care if it's Ben under center, Kenny Pickett. I might care a little bit if it's Trubisky, but this is an important matchup for us. We're currently, if we want to keep our playoff hopes alive, we need to win here. We currently only have an 8% chance of playoffs. If we win, that goes to 12%. So not great either way, but keeps us alive a little longer. I'm going to ride with the boys here and take the Steelers to win and cover, and I'll go under on this one. I think it's going to be a defensive battle between these two familiar foes.
And I'll take the exact same. So no discussion necessary.
Fantastic. Sunday night football game. I think this is the one in Mexico City? No.
Yes.
No, Monday.
No,
Monday is Mexico
City.
So Sunday night football is in Inglewood, California. Kansas City taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Both of these guys losing some weapons here. I don't think there's any way with the current concussion protocol that Juju plays after being smacked like that. That was terrible to see. I'm not the biggest Juju guy, but you never want to see someone get smacked like that. It looked very scary. So I don't think there's a chance he played. They put Mecole Hardman on IR today with a torso injury. MVS hasn't been practicing because of an illness, but he's probably going to play. Their running back room is just super confusing. It was like before, the first 3-4 weeks of the season, you could play Clyde and he'll get a touchdown or two. Now they moved over to Pachinko, and you never know if it's going to be him or McKinnon or Clyde. It's a really weird carousel of running backs they got going on there. Chargers are also banged up. Everett is questionable with a groin injury. Both Allen and Williams are practicing this week. Both have leg injuries. Both questionable. But I feel like it's highly unlikely that both of them are back in this matchup. If I had to pick one guy, it's probably Mike Williams, just because Keenan Allen is already known for these injuries and staying out for a decently long time. But if those guys aren't here, this over-under, it becomes a big question mark. Now, of course, Travis Kelce's on the Kansas City side, and he can do whatever he wants. But the over-under is currently sitting at a high 52 points. And I think I have to take the under here, especially with the unknowns here of these guys who are injured. And if they play, how close are they to 100%? And can they perform as such? So with that, I'll take the under for the money line. I think I got to go Kansas City, but I will take the Chargers to cover the 5-point spread.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I know you need to get this out. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think for me, I think it's gonna be a shootout. It's gonna be over for sure, and I'm gonna take Kansas City to win and cover. I'm not thrilled about the Chargers with the amount of injuries that they've had. Now I know that some of the wide receivers are supposed to come back soon, but for me, I don't feel confident because I haven't seen what I originally saw in the beginning of the year. Where I'm pretty sure I predicted them to go to the Super Bowl. I kind of look stupid for saying that.
Speaking of that, Pat, next episode before Thanksgiving, I think we'll be going over our beginning of season playoff predictions, see where they're standing now, and then we're gonna run through it again because we're about halfway through the season. I think we're actually halfway through the season over it. So we'll be going through that on next episode to see how things are tracking. I also think I had the Chargers going pretty far in playoffs. Final matchup to talk about here in Mexico City. This is a Monday Night Football game, so this should be a good one between the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals. 49ers at 5-4, Cardinals at 4-6. Kyler Murray did not play last week, and there's a question mark of if he plays here again. There's even a question mark on if his backup plays. Colt McCoy had a leg injury, so keep an eye on that. However, Hollywood Brown, he coming back. Might not be this week, and even if he is back this week, you do not put him in your fantasy lineups. It is not worth that risk. It's also a Monday night game, so if he doesn't play, you're kind of screwed for options. San Francisco, 8-point, technically away favorites, minus 354 on the money line, over under of 43.5 points. I lean towards the over here. Pat, I'll let you go first on this one.
Oh, fantastic. I lean towards the over as well. I'll take that.
Sweet.
I'm going to take Arizona. And my only logic behind that is I feel like that they have been underperforming. And it seems like their offense is finally starting to click a little bit. So I think I'm going to ride the wave. I'm just not super thrilled about San Francisco. I mean, it's great that they got McCaffrey. But outside of that, I mean, do you feel confident in Brandon Ayuk being your number one wide receiver? Because I don't.
No, and then also, oh no, who's the other running back? The one that was hurt for a while and he just came back. Elijah Mitchell. Thank you. He had more carries than Christian McCaffrey did. So that, as a fantasy player that owns McCaffrey in multiple places, I don't like that. Please, just give McCaffrey the ball. But they're not going to do that because they are actually a quote-unquote smart team, and they will keep him healthy by not overplaying him, unlike Carolina has done in the past. They need him healthy if and when they make playoffs. So, man, Pat, I was really hoping you would say San Francisco, but now I'm also leaning towards the Birds here. And I'll ride with you, Pat. I'll take the Cardinals to win and cover this matchup. I have never really been a believer in San Francisco in general. It always seems like they're super hyped up, and then they do nothing with it. While I agree they are a much improved team, there's still something there that happens when they play their division rivals that they seem to forget how to play football. So I'll take the Cardinals here to win, cover, and I'm with you on all three. I'm taking the over as well, the over 43.5 points. But that will do it. We sped through this one. Let's see how long that took. 34 minutes we're sitting at here, so that's pretty good timing.
Look at us.
We're going to get this up before the matchup starts. It's 6:40 now. Game starts in 45 minutes. That's easy. That gives you guys enough time to listen to this.
Yeah, and sometimes, I know we have trouble getting it up, but I'm glad we got it up today.
Yeah, it's always nice to see it up, and willing and waiting to be consumed. If you want to do some prop betting, Monkey Knife Fight is the way to do it. Link in our description gets you your first deposit match instantly up to $100. Check out the link in the description and get doing some prop betting.
And also click the link for BarkBox. I'm tired of explaining it, so quit being a douche and just buy something nice for your dog.
They deserve it. Happy Turkey Day. That's next week.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble.